On December 16, 2004, in a quiet agricultural town, Becky was waiting for her daughter, Bobbie, to pick her up from work as agreed. The long wait began to fill Becky's heart with worry as her daughter did not arrive. The situation worsened when she was unable to reach her daughter by phone. Without hesitation, Becky rushed to her pregnant daughter's home, her heart filled with anxiety and fear. Upon arriving, she found the front door open, which was unusual. She entered with heavy steps, her heart racing, calling out for her daughter, but there was no response. She cautiously approached the dining room, where she was met with a horrifying sight. Her daughter was lying motionless on the floor in a pool of blood. The mother froze for a moment, and when she gathered her strength, she quickly called the police for help. Bobbie was born on December 4, 1981, and completed her high school education in Missouri in 2000. She lived in Skidmore, Missouri, with her husband, Zeb St. John. In her 23rd year, she became pregnant with her first child, preparing to welcome him with great enthusiasm and affection, making arrangements for both herself and her home. Bobbie was known for her immense love for animals, especially dogs and horses. She participated in dog shows and bred various breeds. She also managed a successful dog breeding business called Happy Haven Farms from her home, selling dogs and engaging with dog breeding communities online, making her a great example of an animal lover. On December 2004, Bobbie received an urgent message from Darlene Fisher, a woman from Fairfax, Virginia. The two friends had met through an online forum where they exchanged conversations about their passion for dogs and life experiences, as well as pregnancy. Darlene agreed to buy one of Bobbie's dogs and set up a meeting for the following day. Bobbie prepared for their meeting and informed her mother that she would pick her up from work at 2:30 p.m. on the scheduled day, December 16th. At around 2:30 p.m. on the day of the incident, the mother called Bobbie to confirm their plans for her to pick her up from work. Bobbie assured her that she would do so. As 3:30 p.m. approached, Bobbie's mother finished her work, but her daughter did not come as agreed. She attempted to call her daughter, but to no avail, and eventually decided to walk to Bobbie's house, which was nearby. Upon arriving, she noticed that the front door was open. Entering the house while calling for her daughter without receiving any answer, she saw what terrified her. Her daughter lay on the floor in a pool of blood. The mother froze for a moment, then hurriedly called emergency services, informing them about the tragic situation and indicating that her daughter was 8 months pregnant and had suffered severe injuries to her abdomen. The police rushed to the scene and began investigating this horrific crime, discovering that Bobbie's unborn child had been forcibly taken from her womb. It was unknown whether either Bobbie or the child had survived. Identifying the perpetrator was crucial to understanding the circumstances surrounding the crime, but Bobbie did not survive the brutal attack and succumbed to her injuries, leaving behind her baby whose fate remained unknown in a story that broke everyone's hearts. Bobbie's husband and mother informed the police that Bobbie had been planning to meet with a woman named Darlene, who expressed interest in buying a puppy, and they confirmed that there were no other visitors that day. The police quickly traced Darlene through text messages exchanged with Bobbie and discovered a surprise. The woman's name was not Darlene, and she did not live in that area. Instead, her name was Lisa Montgomery from Kansas. On December 16th, Lisa drove from Kansas to Missouri, arriving at Bobbie's home at around 1:30 p.m. Authorities believe the baby was taken from Bobbie's womb between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. The next morning, police visited Lisa's home, where her husband welcomed them at the door. Upon entering, they found Lisa sitting in the living room, cradling a newborn baby. The police informed the couple that they were investigating Bobbie's murder and began to question them about the infant. Lisa confirmed that the baby was hers, which she claimed to have given birth to at a women's clinic in a nearby city. The police asked Lisa to speak outside the house to maintain the confidentiality of their questioning, where she disclosed her desire to keep this conversation away from her husband and explained that due to some financial issues, she had not delivered her baby at the clinic but had given birth at home, claiming she was alone during the birth. However, she had the phone numbers of friends to assist her if necessary. When investigators asked about the umbilical cord, she told them she disposed of it herself. Lisa then requested the investigators to continue their questioning at the police station to protect her privacy, and they agreed. At the police station, Lisa broke down and confessed to her horrific crime. Based on this confession, the innocent child was returned to Bobbie's husband, who named her Victoria Jo, and Lisa was charged with kidnapping resulting in death, During the trial, it was revealed that Lisa and Bobbie had first met at a dog-related event in April 2004 and were both members of a dog breeding group online. When Bobbie announced her pregnancy, Lisa learned of this online and began telling her family and friends that she was also pregnant, though what her close ones did not know was that she had undergone sterilization a decade earlier, making it impossible for her to conceive again. Over the subsequent 8 months, Lisa immersed herself in the charade of her pregnancy, wearing maternity clothes and buying baby supplies as if she were genuinely preparing to welcome a child. She even managed to convince her husband of her pregnancy despite him knowing about her sterilization earlier. Her ex-husband and wife accused her of lying and deceiving, as he was aware of her sterilization surgery. However, Lisa insisted that she would prove their claims wrong. Investigators found that Lisa had arrived at Bobbie's house on December 16th with a sharp kitchen knife and a length of white rope in her coat pocket. At a women's clinic in Topeka, Kansas, she called her husband to inform him that she had given birth. The couple named the baby Abigail and proudly introduced her to their friends over breakfast the following day. During the trial, the prosecution argued that Bobbie's tragic death and the kidnapping of her child were the result of a calculated, cold-blooded plan executed by a cruel and selfish woman who spun her lies with calmness to protect herself. According to the prosecution, Lisa was fearful that her first husband would expose her deception during a heated custody battle, which could jeopardize her standing in court. This led her to feel the necessity to obtain a child as tangible proof of her alleged pregnancy. The prosecution asserted that Lisa had deliberately deceived her family and friends about her pregnancy and meticulously plotted the kidnapping of the child. She had concealed her identity from Bobbie from the beginning to avoid discovery of her horrific crime. Investigators uncovered through her search records that she had researched how to perform a cesarean section, and she even tried to implicate her brother, falsely claiming he was with her during the crime. However, investigators disproved her claims since her brother was elsewhere when the crime occurred. The prosecution explained that when Lisa's first husband realized her lies, he began sending her threatening text messages, indicating he would inform her current husband of her lies and use this against her in court. This prompted Lisa to engage in her deadly scheme. Less than a week before Bobbie's murder, Lisa's first husband filed for a modification of custody of their minor children living with her. The defense claimed that Lisa suffered from a mental illness known as pseudopsoriasis. In response, the prosecution requested testimony from a specialist who testified that Lisa did not suffer from pseudopsoriasis at the time of the crime. His conclusion was based on his belief that Lisa did not genuinely believe she was pregnant. He stressed 2 main factors. First, Lisa was fully aware of her permanent sterilization, making pregnancy impossible. And second, she filled out an insurance form clearly stating that she was not pregnant, prompting the doctor to rule out the idea of her suffering from pregnancy delusions. Lisa's accounts were inconsistent about critical details, one moment claiming the fetus was male, the next insisting it was female, or that she was carrying twins and then denying it. Additionally, she provided conflicting narratives regarding the location of the birth, initially claiming to have given birth at the women's clinic, then changing her story to assert she had given birth at home alone. She also lied about her brother being with her at Bobbie's home at the time of the murder. After confronting her with these contradictions, Lisa claimed to have experienced temporary memory loss before and during Bobbie's murder. The court learned that this was not Lisa's first false pregnancy claim. Years after her sterilization, she made several claims of being pregnant, beginning in 1994, followed by subsequent instances in 2000, when she alleged she was pregnant before marrying her current husband and expressed a desire to have an abortion. Her husband gave her money for it, yet no evidence of a pregnancy or abortion existed. 2 years later, she claimed to be pregnant again, providing her husband with dates for supposed doctor visits but forbidding him from accompanying her. Nonetheless, her doctor testified that he treated her for ankle pain and the flu, and that there was no treatment related to any pregnancy before the alleged birth. Lisa told her husband that the baby had died and that she donated the body to a scientific institution, adding another layer of deception to her already convoluted history of lies. The defense attempted to prove Lisa's mental illness, asserting that she lived a troubled life and had been sexually abused by her mother's husband. At 18, she married her stepfather's son and had 4 children with him before her sterilization. The defense summoned 2 doctors as witnesses to support Lisa's insanity plea, who diagnosed her with multiple symptoms, including mental disorder, depression, personality disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. According to the doctor, Lisa suffered from a physical disorder known as pseudopsoriasis, where the patient develops a phantom pregnancy driven by an intense desire to conceive, leading to hormonal changes mimicking physical signs of pregnancy. The doctor also confirmed that Lisa was in a state of unawareness during Bobbie's murder and noted that the supplies Lisa bought for the child indicated her belief in the phantom pregnancy. After 5 hours of deliberation, the jury reached a unanimous verdict finding Lisa guilty of kidnapping resulting in death. The following day, she was sentenced to death by lethal injection at the Terre Haute prison in Indiana. Lisa found herself awaiting execution and hired a new defense team in an attempt to reduce her sentence to life imprisonment. Their argument centered on the claim that the death penalty was unjust given the horrific abuses Lisa had faced in her past. The defense team alleged that the previous team had failed to fully reveal the deep-seated difficulties Lisa faced, and that the defense put forth was inadequate. The new defense team argued that at the time of the crime, Lisa was in a state of psychosis, disconnected from reality. They further asserted that Lisa's history of abuse began even before her birth due to fetal alcohol syndrome caused by her mother's excessive drinking. They cited specific instances of abuse claiming that Lisa suffered physical violence, with the abuse intensifying after her mother remarried and she was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. Despite the persistent efforts of the defense team, arguing that pressure and threats of exposure over her pregnancy lies from her first husband led her to fabricate the pregnancy, their attempts to overturn the death sentence failed. Lisa underwent execution and was declared dead on January 13, 2021, becoming the first woman to be executed in the United States in nearly 67 years. Lisa was sentenced for her lies, deceit, and excessive selfishness, which affected a happy family awaiting the joy of receiving an innocent child. Poor Bobbie was deprived of holding her first daughter and rejoicing in her beloved offspring. Lisa tore apart family ties, extinguished the spark of life, and coldly assassinated a mother's joy, receiving only death as a consequence for her actions.